So I moved back into my ex-husband's old house, because I was letting him live there. Murray from the old 97s. So yeah, he's still one of my best friends. So
reading up a little bit about you, it seems like you have about as healthy a relationship as exes could possibly have.
It's so true. We just got off tour opening for the old 97s. So I just saw him last night. I gave him a big hug. I was like, no, it's been amazing. So, he's one of my best friends in the world. And, I'm wearing this weird like turban thing because I usually have these giant hairdos when I play big old Nashville hair. Yes. And I was trying to preserve that because I didn't have time to get my hair done. So I was like wrapping it every night. And then when I got home last night, I was like, oh, I'm just going to take all this crap out of my hair and just like deep wash my hair. And then I was like, oh no, I've got an interview in the morning. But I said, okay, but I think they said that we will be on camera for the interview, but it won't be used. So I was like, oh God, okay.
Yeah, no, beneficial for both of us because I decided not to put any product in my hair today. And I feel like it looks like I have a comb over.
No, it looks cute. I like it. It looks kind of vintage. It's sort of like a Dapper Dan kind of thing.
Yeah. Every once in a while, because I've got those Jewish genes and it gets curly. And every once in a while, I'll try it without product. And it's always a horrible mistake. But
same thing with Mexican. I'm part Mexican and my hair is very, very wild and curly. Yeah.
I was watching video of you and obviously there's the kind of Tanya Tucker kind of hairstyle. I was genuinely wondering if that was a wig. The fact that it's not is very impressive.
Oh my God, I could show you my real hair. It's like crazy giant, but maybe before the end of the interview, I'll let you have a little treat.
Do you specifically have to keep it long in order to maintain that kind of beehive?
Well, I have a lot of things that I stick underneath it. There's like all these little bump it things and teasing and it curls and all kinds of extra things that I stick into it, but it's mostly mine. So yeah, it's a structure into its own self. I'm a sculptor and an actor and a musician.
Do you know how they used to do it back in the day?
Toilet paper? I think there was toilet paper involved.
Toilet paper.
Yeah. From what my grandmother said, they would stick toilet paper underneath there and kind of like sculpt your hair around it and spray it to death. So
I guess it makes sense. It's pliable.
Yeah.
Do you have to like spray a bunch of hold on it?
Oh, yes. And especially touring because we all share a hotel room. So we have two beds in one room and I can't use too much of the bathroom time. I don't want to be a cliche, lady singer. So, and all the guys are very fashionable too. So they have their own share of bathroom time. But I just like wrap it really well at night with like a silk cap, this thing that I'm wearing. And then I add all my hair the next day and curl it and spray it again. And it was so sticky by the end of the tour that I was like, oh my God, I can't wait to get in the shower. I mean, I was showering, just not doing my hair. It was gross, but it looked good.
You can't wash your hair the entirety of the tour?
No, I had to use dry shampoo, which it's like this powder you put on your hair and it soaks up all the gross stuff. And I don't know. I don't think I offended any of the guys. That's all I can say.
Does it get more difficult to maintain as you go on?
So, you know what? Toward the very end, I was like, you know what? I think it's actually getting easier now because it's got so much. It's like almost like I'm paper mache at this point. So yeah, it behaved a little better toward the end.
I've always wondered how those guys with this Elmer glue mohawks used to do it. You would have to sleep upright, I would think, in order to do that.
Oh yeah, when I was in high school, Morrissey was all the rage, and so or junior high, I guess. And my friend had a giant, and he has less hair now, but he still has that same bang thing going on, straight up in the air. Very, very something about Mary.
Explain something to me as a Southern California. He said as for a Mexican heritage. What is the Chicano Morrissey connection?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I have several cousins with Morrissey tattoos but then, now he's kind of a racist. So it's like,
kind of is.
Well, I mean,
really underselling it.
Yeah, I'm being very kind, very kind. I that's so weird. Now I'm thinking maybe we can turn that into a flower or I don't know. It's bad. Yeah.
I don't know. I would just keep it because I feel like if it's clearly a cover-up, people are going to think it was something far worse than that.
It was a Nazi tattoo, kind of. I mean, it was Morrissey, but it was,
Yeah, I did join a club in prison.
They cover those for free these days, so you could say, it was a Nazi tattoo, and if they press you on it, go, well, no, I mean, kind of, because Morrissey is a Nazi now, so, kind of.
You can get a swastika covered up for free.
A lot of tattoo artists like donate their time. If you were in some sort of white supremacy or in just anything that was racist, they like have a service where you can go and get your bad tattoos covered up. It's very noble.
It's great.
Yeah.
It's like methadone in a way.
Yeah.
But for
Nice
racism.
little yeah. Yes.
How are you back in Pasadena? Why are you back in your ex's house?
Well, I was married to Murray. We're still best friends. But when our son was little, we got divorced, a very happy, healthy divorce. But I ended up moving like about a block away from here and still want to tuck Tex in at night and make food and everything. I pretty much lived here except for I just slept in another place because I thought if I have a date or something, it's gonna be weird. I'm living with my ex-husband. It's weird. And then I had Tex half the time. And then I got remarried and we moved into another house in Glendale. And then I got divorced and I was like, well, I'm going to sell. Well, after Tex went to college, I was like, well, I guess I'll sell the house in Pasadena. But then Tex was very sentimental about it. And so was Marie. Marie was like, well, that's like our, that's like got so many special memories. And I was like, I'm going to downsize. I'll sell this house in Glendale, and pay my taxes off and just downsize. And it's so nice because I had a really big house in Glendale, but I wasn't well off enough to not I could have survived, but I was like, well, I have this extra space. I'll rent out the rooms. And it was just like a frat house or something. I was like Mrs. Garrett over there. There was always like a 21-year-old, It was one thing that was good about it was that they helped me with my TikTok and stuff. But other than that, I was like, I just want to go in my backyard and write music and not have somebody staring at me or, there was always someone in the backyard. So here I have my privacy. It's much smaller, but I can go out in my backyard and not worry about being, I could be naked if I want to. I don't want to, but I could be.
I'm on the East Coast. I'm actually from up outside of San Francisco, but I'm on the East Coast now. And I was in the city. I was in New York for about 20 years, and I just moved up to the Hudson Valley, and I'm having
beautiful,
a very similar kind of thing of like, oh, this is mine now. Like,
Yeah. My friend just moved to the Hudson Valley. She got a job working. Actually, she's the girl that Big Brown Eyes was written about, the old 97 song, if you know that song. But she's got a job working for the animal shelter in the Hudson Valley. So she just moved there. And and my son goes to SVA in New York. So I'm always visiting him out there. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. He's an artist, right?
He's an artist. Yeah. Like a major artist. Yeah. He designed the old 97's record cover and the one with the horse on it. And he sells his work all over the world. He's only 18, but he's got like a career in art already, even before school. He's trying to lay low. He's like, I don't want to be that jerk that everybody's like, oh, what are you doing? You already have gallery, but he's quite accomplished. So like 7 or 8, I think it's like 8th gallery show he's had, and he's not just turned 18. So yeah.
That's a lot of pressure for an 18-year-old.
Well, he's a very nice person, and he really doesn't ever want to come off as a douche, so some people, and he went to an arts high school too. And some people kind of found out about his art career because he was in the LA Times did a big story about him. And then even one of his professors who was in his 30s was kind of a jerk to him because he had an art career too. I was like, you're like the Mozart and he's the Salieri and he's never going to be nice. I kind of thought it was in my son's imagination, but then as I was kind of observing the relationship, and I was like, wow, he really is mean. He's mean to you. It really was. Yeah. He told, because Tex, his artist style is very abstract and very like cubism and he was like, you need realism is where it's at. He was like yelling, and Tex was like, I would never tell you to do cubism. You're a realist artist. That's your thing. This is my thing. Just, why would you say that? I would never say that to another artist. Oh, and he was drawing something and the guy goes, I don't even know what that is. I can't, it's terrible. So he wasted paper, and Tex ended up selling it for over $1,000 just a sketch. And so he called it waste of paper, which I thought was a fun little jab.
I haven't heard a lot of that happening in the art world. I'm sure it does, but in music, that seems to happen a lot, of people really trying to like jam your square peg into a round hole.
Oh, that's why I won't sign with. Not that labels are clamoring for me, but I have had some label interest, and even distributors. I left my distributor, and I just thought I'm going to just sign up with TuneCore because every time I said I was going to put something out, they're like, but you just put something out. You can't put anything, you're putting too many things out and you need to wait. And I was like, look, I'm writing every day. And if I think something's really good, I'm going to put it on a record. And I promise you that all of my records, there's no filler on there. Like if I put something on a record, I believe in the song. But I do write a lot and I want to put it out. So I had sort of an overbearing stepfather and I just feel like I don't like to be told what to do. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing and no one's going to tell me what to do. So I started Hummingbird Records before I got signed to Sugar Hill, like back when I was 22 or something. And it literally was just a logo. I just put it on my record because I just wanted it to say something on there. And then people started sending me the records going, hey, would Hummingbird like to put our record out? And I'm like, oh no, you've misunderstood. Like, this is just my way of putting my records out. And then I end up being on, on a label and everything. And then I was like, oh, I don't like this at all. They are telling me how long to make my records. And cause I like 2.5 to 3 minute songs. I don't really like to put out very long songs. So, cause if I'm sick of listening, if I ever have the thought while I'm listening to a song, like, oh, okay, I get it. Let's go to the next thing. I have ADHD, so maybe I feel that more than other people. But I would just like the thought of someone thinking that while they're listening to my music makes me like, so I try to keep it short and sweet. If I'm not covering any new territory or anything, I'm like, okay, I feel like we get this song, we're done. But anyway, like when I was on Sugar Hill, they were lovely to me, but there were a lot of like just like artistic notes of like I actually went out. They said your album has to be at least an hour long. So I went out and recorded train sounds in East Texas. And I put that, I added like 8 minutes of train sounds. I was like, there's your hour-long record.
I'm Brian Wilson now.
I know. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So that's what I did. It was a little bratty of me. I was young and I'm stupid, but I really am glad that so like you were saying, yeah, even with this new album, the double album I just put out, like there have been really wonderful reviews, but there have been a few people that are like, I wish she would just figure out what she's doing. Like, is it country or is it rock or is it pop or, and I'm just like, I just want my albums to sort of feel like a good record collection. You never go to somebody who has taste in records and go like, it's all Hank Williams or, oh, they've only got the Kinks, it's always like, there's some variation so I don't know. I feel like that my record, all I can promise is songs will be good. So
I want to back up a second because, so what year were you signed to Sugar Hill?
2002, maybe? Yeah. I think 2002 or 2003, maybe.
I asked because I think most people know Sugar Hill, like historically know Sugar Hill, and it's what's her face from she was a singer, the founder,
Bev Paul or
no, she was in a part of a duo with a guy who was like a male female singer. They had a song on the Dirty Dancing soundtrack, Mickey and.
Oh, is that? I don't think I knew that. Oh my gosh.
She was the founder of Sugar Hill, but obviously like Sugar Hill, they put the Sugar Hill gang together.
Come here, lover boy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Oh my God. Yeah. I had no idea. I just loved, Steve Fischel, who was in the hot band, Emmylou Harris. I love Emmylou Harris. Everybody knows that. I mean, the trio is like my Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is like Dolly, Linda, and Emmylou. But, so Emmylou's, steel player, Steve Fischel, was my A&R person, and I just adored him. So that's kind of why I signed with Sugar Hill. He was just so charming and lovely. And so that's why I did that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just bring it up because I don't really know what Sugar Hill would have been like around the turn of the millennium, versus.
It was rootsy. Well, they put out Dolly Parton was kind of sliding down. And so they said, let's put out a bluegrass record with you. And she ended up putting out The Grass is Blue on Sugar Hill. And I'm sure it probably went platinum. I mean, it was one of my favorite Dolly records, actually. And that's saying a lot because there's some good ones. But yeah. So.
That's kind of the trade-off, right? I mean, obviously A&R people are often wrong, but they're good ones. There's a reason why they got that job. So it's a trade-off of, how committed am I to putting out the music that I really want to put out versus is this a missed opportunity?
Oh my God. I have a hilarious story about Steve Fischel because I was playing the Exit Inn in Nashville and with this band called the Avett Brothers. And I was like,
oh yeah, they've been on the show.
Oh yeah. I was like, these guys are so good. And their manager and I just hit it off. He was like young, like their friend who was like helping them. And he's like, we'd really love to sign to Sugar Hill. And I was like, well, I can call my A&R guy. I mean, you guys are amazing. I love it. So I called Steve and I was like, hey, this band. And he's like, well, we just signed kind of a college band like that called the Ducks. So I think we'll just stick. And I'm like, okay, they're really good. And he was like, yeah, we're kind of set for now. And I'm like, okay. And then about like 8 years later, I saw like them on the cover of Rolling Stone. They just made a record with with Rick Rubin. And I
Rick
was
Rubin,
like,
yeah.
I bet Steve, and I saw him recently, Steve, and I talked to him recently and I just was like, I remember, and he's like, "Oh God, great! I think about it all the time because that was one of the worst things I ever did." Anyway, but he's got a sense of humor about it.
Life, right? I mean, we all have those. Like,
Oh, yeah.
my day job, I write about technology, and I was like, I knew about Bitcoin before anyone else did.
Oh no,
It's
yeah.
that thing. Yeah. I mean,
But then you'd be hurting the environment. I know I probably could make money in that, but I just like my son, back to my son's art. A lot of people wanted him to do
NFTs.
those NFTs, and early on, he was only like 14, so he was like, oh, and he kind of looked into it and he did one of them, and then he learned how terrible they are for the environment, and he was like, oh my God, no way, I'm never doing that again. And he hated getting rid of, painted this beautiful thing and then had to destroy it. He painted it was kind of a cool idea. He painted this giant thing on a driveway and then power washed it off, because it can't exist anymore. But, so yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what are those Buddhist like sand sculptures, and it's, the impermanence of time and not getting too attached to something and letting go. There's something kind of beautiful in that.
Yeah. Yeah. And anyone who owns one of that NFT that he did, I'm sure is probably doing well with it because that's the only one he ever did. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we can go as far down this road as you want, because this is something that I think about a lot. There's a lot to discuss with you about AI, but the first thing that springs to mind is the environmental impact and the fact that, like, I hate to say this, but the fact that things in the United States feel so bad right now that we're not even really talking about that.
Yes. And there's no escape for, even if you leave the country, like you can't escape that kind of stuff, I mean, and even you really can't, you just have to I just feel like you just have to keep, and oh God, that it's like, I don't even know where to go. Like everything's going into my mind at one time. But like even that little meme of the action figure that just went around recently. And some of my good like music people who I love were like putting their freaking action figure out. And I'm like, what are you doing? And people and I would never approach them about it because I think they kind of feel bad now and they took it down. But like, if even good people are doing it, people who know better and are on the right side of things, like, it's just, I don't know. And then
I assume a lot of people who did it were not really aware of the environmental and artistic ramifications. It was an adorable little thing. I understand why people did it.
There are people who know better. I don't know why they did that. Like, they know that AI is bad for the environment. They know that artists are being ripped off. And so I had to put my meme up, which was a burglar. It was a burglar going, you and you doing AI, you doing your AI action figure. It was just like a little action figure of a burglar that an artist actually created. So I don't know. I just feel like I think it's the lure of seeing yourself as something. Remember when art, like people were putting themselves as like yourself as an art piece or whatever. I fell for that too before I knew how bad AI was for the environment. And I'm like, oh, yeah. And then also the artists I know who aren't getting hired for anything because they're like, oh, we just made the record cover in AI, so we're good. And it's like, oh, so terrible. But yeah.
That's interesting coming from you, especially being really interested in, yourself as an art piece, because I know that it's not as direct of a thing, but I assume that there are probably hundreds of action figures and dolls of characters that you portrayed over the years.
I sign them every weekend at those. If I'm not doing music, I'm doing the signings at those conventions. And often, like in Anaheim, my band is actually going to play after I do the signing all day. So I'm trying to combine those two things because I'm thinking if I'm here and I got on a plane, I might as well bring my band, because usually I have to like fly everybody out to a gig. And, if it weren't for cartoons, I couldn't probably tour or do any of like a lot of the music things that I do or make the records I make because it's just, there's no money in music really, so, but I do it for the love of it, but yeah, the cartoons are definitely financing my music right now. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it fair to say that music was your first love and the first thing that you were really wanted to pursue in that way?
Absolutely. My grandmother sang with Tito Puente when she was younger, so she
Mm.
was always playing boleros around the house and like just all kinds of really good records. And my mom was in a band when I was little, so I would go to band rehearsal with her, and she would go, if you're quiet and good during the rehearsal, I'll let you have the microphone at the end and you can sing or something. So I was like, okay. And then my dad was a big loved country and western music. I mean, he got me on the Carter Family like really very young, and Hank Williams and Slim Whitman, and one of the first songs he ever taught me was John Prine, "Please Don't Bury Me." Yeah, so I was my teacher called my dad and was like, she needs you need to talk to her. She's singing a song about like scattering a dead body all over the country. So yeah, so I had a lot of great music around me, but I wrote my first song when I was like 5 years old. I remember thinking, oh, I wrote a song too, and this is my song. And I didn't realize that everybody didn't do that. I just like it. And they were coming to me like I was writing a song a week, even though a lot of them were terrible. But I mean, all through, growing up, high school, and then I didn't make my first record, I think, until I was like 24 or something. Because I was always dating musicians and I would go, I write songs. And they're like, yeah, yeah, that's nice for you. Anyway, so my career, yeah, but
You were the girl on the bus.
yes, yeah. I know. But I was dating do you know Jake Labatz, the guitar player Jake Labatz? He's wonderful. He's wonderful. Really talented blues musician, but I was dating him, and I had written that Borrowed in Blue song, and he's like, "All right, sing one of your songs for me." So I sang it and he goes, "You didn't write that." Oh, I did. And he's like, "No, and he actually looked it up. He tried to look it up on the computer to see if he could find it. I'm like, "I wrote that." But I was very flattered because I was like, "Wow, is it good? Is good enough to be unbelievable?"
I did the same thing with one of your songs. I think it might be on the new album, of just like, oh, this feels like a classic country song, but not in a way that's like an homage. Like this,
Well, that's a
it's
huge
sort of
compliment.
funny in that way that old country can be funny.
Yeah. Well, I am very flattered. Thank you very much. There have been a lot. Sometimes I'll see bands and I'm like, oh, I love that's a great song. And then I look and I'm like, oh, it's a cover. But but I've had the opposite thing too, where I'm like, that's got to be a cover. I look it up and I'm like, man, I love them. It's not a cover. They really so it goes both ways.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful thing about music. It's like, oh, how has nobody done this specific thing? Because it feels like there's maybe, I know this isn't true and I am a non-musician, but it always feels like there's kind of like a finite number of chords and arrangements and melodies that you could put it in, and still all the time amazing music is always coming out.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I sometimes I actually definitely just try to cover a new subject. Like with that Daddy, Can You Fix a Broken Heart? I was like, I don't think I've heard that. I don't think I've heard a country song from that angle of the kid asking, about a divorced family.
Mm.
I've heard, DIVORCE and all that stuff, but this is like a little bit of a fresh take. So if I'm going to go over the same chords, I'm at least going to try to cover some new ground storytelling wise. I think I'm getting very desperate though, because I just wrote a song called Mineola, and it's really sad, and it's about a little girl it's about parental kidnapping. It's about her dad takes her to another town, and it's like, we moved to Mineola in the middle of the night. We pulled into a parking lot and slept under a light. I miss my third grade teacher in my home in Tennessee, but my daddy hates my mama more than he loves me. And he calls me by a different name and cut my long brown hair. I lost another milk tooth, but he says that he don't care. I miss my secret hideout and my home in Tennessee, but my daddy hates my mama more than he loves me. Anyway, it goes, and so it's a very predictable chord progression, but I thought, well, but I don't know any other songs about parental kidnappings. So I think I've covered a new ground. Maybe there shouldn't be any.
I don't have anything off the top of my head, but I'm gonna have to think this one over. I feel like
Yeah.
at some point, yeah. Yeah, what I mean, so you seem to be a happy person, right?
Yeah.
You're chippy, you're cheery. These are some really dark subjects that we're talking about. And obviously people always talk about using music as like catharsis or therapy or all these things, but is there a darker part of you that you have to get out through the music?
There must be. I'm obsessed with like, well, I know it's a cliche at this point where all women are obsessed with true crime podcasts and things like that. But I mean, darkness is, darkness, my old friend. But I had like a crappy childhood. My mom was an addict and I was bounced around all the time. Finally, my grandma kind of picked up the pieces and, it was funny. We were on tour. We always stop at little vintage stores and stuff. And we were looking around and I was thinking, God, I get overwhelmingly sad when I see toys from the era of when I was little, like just real. And I thought, oh, I bet that's like a sense memory thing because I remember seeing that little phone, that little phone with a face on it. And it makes me feel like really sad about my circumstances. But things have been so great. I mean, I have a great life now. It's funny. People are always like, I'm going to set you up with this guy or whatever. And I'm like, I really like set. I mean, I like men a lot, but I just don't have any interest in dating any of them. I don't know. My friend's like, are you demisexual? I was like, I don't know. I don't know if it's so much that or that I'm just really happy. I'm sure that if
They don't
somebody
have
like
a name for that yet.
I know, because no one is experiencing it. But and then the world is so crappy that like, I mean, there's enough, but I still manage to I feel so lucky. Like I have the best job. This cartoon thing is I can't believe the amount of like iconic things that I've been able to be a part of. And sometimes I just think, wow, that's amazing. I mean, even I step outside my life and go, wow, you got it pretty good. And I try to help people as much as I can, because I mean, if somebody needs like a dogs need a surgery or it's just sad to me that people have to put up a GoFundMe just to get like their appendix out or something horrible like that. It's just, anyway, so I do try to I always say, and I'm not like super Christian or anything, but when I do say my prayers, I'm always like, God, thank you for blessing me so much so that I can help other people and make good music. So I definitely I love to treat my band really well. We eat really well. We stay at nice places and they're all just like my brothers are like, they're wonderful. They take really good care of me on the road. They don't make me carry anything. And I always offer to take a shift driving in the van and they're always like, oh, that's okay. So anyway, I try to spread the love around. But I mean, I do have a nice life and I have great kids. I have 3 kids and they're all awesome. And I have an 8-year-old and a 10-year-old and my oldest is 18. And I have great ex-husbands who I adore and I have amazing friends and I love my adult life and I'm just writing songs in my bathtub. I write most of my songs in the bathtub or on the plane. So I make myself a hot cocoa every night and get in the bubbles and usually come up with something that's not terrible. So
Maybe you can give me, a little life advice because I'm trying to just generally be more mindful. I'm trying to be more grateful in life. It's not something that comes naturally to me. Is that something that you had to work towards, or is that just kind of how you're wired?
I think I might just be wired that way. Even when I had a really bad time as a kid, I mean, every picture of me, I seem pretty happy. I don't know. My grandmother really, I always say my grandma was just amazing. And I'm just so, I don't know what would have happened to me if she hadn't. She was always a very positive person too. She got voted like Sweetheart of the Month in San Diego, once, and she got a mug and this radio station came and interviewed her. It was really cute. And I thought, you're Sweetheart of the decade, of the millennium, because she was so happy and sweet all the time. And I owe her my happiness and my stability mentally, probably.
I'm impressed that you do pray at all because I feel like people who grew up in situations similar to you, as far as, I mean, my understanding is your mother basically being a born again Pentecostal, right?
Oh, yes, the worst kind. It's better if they grow up in it than if they.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but you go one of 2 directions. This is very polarizing, right? You either like get really into it, or you're just, I don't want any religion in my life. But it sounds like you found somewhat of a happy medium there.
I mean, I do. My ex-husband, not Murray, but the one after that, was very Catholic, and it was very important to him. So I was like, all right. I mean, since I wasn't that into, I just take church with a grain of salt. I definitely believe there's something there, but I definitely. And I talk to whatever it is all the time. Like, I don't know if it's like spirit guides or whatever. I don't know. I don't want to be at all super woo-woo or anything, but I talk to whatever that is probably for a good 30 minutes a day. I'm always going, oh, thank you for this. Or, oh, and I also write songs that way. I'll just call out to whatever the energy is out there and just go, hey, if anybody has passed on and wants to write a song or anything, let me know. 'Cause I'm here, and I know it sounds kooky, but almost every time that I do that, and that's why people go, wow, you write blues and country and like jazzy kind of things. And like I wrote a bunch of Christmas songs that are very, very jazzy. I'm doing one with this guy, Les Green. Do you know who Les Green is?
That name sounds very familiar to me.
You have to get into it's his live show is unbelievable. He played Little Richard, the voice of Little Richard in the Elvis movie, the Baz Luhrmann Elvis movie. He's got like this incredible voice, and he's just a performer like no other. Like he just the splits, and he comes out in the audience, and no one wants to follow him. He's played here in LA, and everybody's like,
he's got that kind of James Brown energy.
Yes. It's a show, but he does write, but we co-wrote some things together, and then I was like, do you want? We've been working on an album, and I was part of it, like singing with him, and I'm like, this is your thing, dude. You do this. I mean, you're like his voice sounds like Sam Cooke meets, yeah, he's just unbelievable. Anyway, but he said, I love your songs. I want to do your songs. So I was like, okay. So I gave him a pile of songs, and we need to do 2 more of them. But, well, what was my point? We were talking about, see here, the ADHD.
Religion.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I write in all different styles, like so all over the place. And I think it's because of that. I feel like, cause whoever was out there, they're a jazz writer, or they're a country person, or they're they write Beach Boys style songs, or Mersey, just it's all over the map. I think it's because I fill my head with whatever weird spirit is floating around. This sounds really out there, and I'm sure people, I'm coming off as a nut. But that's okay.
I'm always interested to have these conversations with people because one, like this is certainly something that I don't judge people about at all, especially when it comes to creativity. People take the idea of like the muse very seriously, or the idea that they're like channeling songwriting from somewhere else.
Yeah.
But does it like how much of what you're talking about is an analogy for creativity, and how much of it is more tangible and really feels like you are collaborating with someone?
Sometimes, some good line will come up, and I'm like, ooh, I love that. I feel like I'm talking to somebody else. I'm like, that's a good one. And I really don't feel like it's me, but I don't know. Then my friend's like, I think you're selling yourself short. I think I don't know. I definitely, I have people that'll give me just an idea for a song, and I'm like, okay, and I just I call it like the mental crock pot, and I just put sort of that idea in, and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to kind of let it sit there for a little bit, and just sort of, I'm working on something. Somebody, we were on the road, and we were talking about, self-checkout, and how annoying it is. And then I was like, oh, I should write a song about a lady who has a crush on a guy that works at the dollar store or something, and called Check Me Out. And it could be like the double entendre of that. But at the end, she's like, I guess I just had to check out myself, and that's kind of, it turns out that there's just a machine there now, but so it's coming together. Like I put those ideas in the crock pot, and every day I'm like, oh, the bridge could be about this. Oh, that would be a cool rhyme, and so it's sort of like at the end, the stew will come out. I put it in there, and then all of a sudden I sit down and go, okay, now it's ready. And I take the lid off the crock pot, and it's like a full on something, but it takes a while to cook in there, I don't know. Yeah.
So it is an everyday thing for you?
Yeah, but it's almost like breathing, because I feel like everything else in my life just is just something that's getting in the way of what I'm working on right now. I mean, being a mom, I love my kids so much, and they're amazing. But a lot of times I'm like, oh, hold on a second. Let me just sing something into my phone, and then I'll go help you with that homework, or go do that, or answer that question, or whatever. And so sometimes I think, well, my kids are all, yeah, I know. And sometimes I was like in the car, and I was like, can you guys just go in for 5 minutes? Cause I've got to finish this song. And, anyway, they're so sweet. Cause when I came in, they're like, did you do it? And I'm like, yeah, I finished it. I wrote a song called Baby You're Lucky. And you think you're talking about a guy, cause it's like he has no hair. He has no teeth. He still lives with his parents. He's always got a bottle in his hand, but it turns out to be a baby. Like, it's like, baby, you're lucky I'm your mama. And it's cute. Yeah. But you give away but I was working on that, and I was like getting close to some things. And when someone interrupts you from writing a song, it's like almost like you're having a really good dream, and you're like, this is so great. Oh, I'm in it. And then all of a sudden somebody shakes you awake, and you're like, no, I can't. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get back into that dream again, And so I always try to sing as much as I can into my phone before it all goes away. Cause there have been times when I was really hot on something, and then someone stubbed their toe or fell or so. And I'm like, I gotta go be a mom. That's my number one thing. But man, that would have been a good thing. And it just never comes back. You just can't get it back. And you just have to, I always think, well, hopefully it went over to some other songwriter and they were able to get it out because I dropped it. I dropped the ball. The portal closed. But yeah.
I get the sense that there are certain like art forms that lend themselves to writing backwards, almost like joke telling, right? Coming up with a punchline, writing that first, or I'm sure mystery writers figure out who done it and then work backwards. And it sounds like to a certain extent, that's how you write songs.
Yeah. Sometimes I do. And sometimes I just write down a bunch of ideas. I wrote a song called Your Old Flame. This is all stuff that's going on. I'm making a record with John Carter, Johnny and June's son. He has a studio at the Cash Cabin. So we're going there on the 20th of April. And Chris Scruggs is going to be playing upright bass. And Marie's going to be playing guitar. And Stephen McCarthy from the Long Riders playing lead guitar. And then I'm bringing the Blue Ribbon Boys, my band, out toward the end of the recording.
So is Chris Scruggs related to Earl Scruggs?
Yeah, he's his grandson.
So there's wow. Okay.
Yeah,
so there's a lot
he's, oh my God. He plays with Marty
lineage.
Stewart. No, he plays with Marty Stewart and he's an excellent songwriter, incredible steel guitar player. He plays everything. But he's playing upright bass and a little bit of steel for me. He and Stephen McCarthy are going to switch back and forth. But anyway, and a really great dad. His son, Ben Scruggs, is writing songs. He's only 10 years old and he just did his first record store day. He did 23 songs live in a record store. A 10-year-old kid. I mean, and his mother, Gail Davies, is an excellent songwriter and producer in her own right as well. So, I don't want to shortchange her. I just produced this Cindy Walker, a tribute to this songwriter, Cindy Walker, and it's all female musicians singing on it. So we have Kelly Willis and Gail Davies, Chris Scruggs' mom, and Melissa Carper and Jolie Holland and Mandy Barnett, and just amazing songwriters. And Brennan Lee, I don't know if you have Brennan Lee, she's amazing. But anyway, lots of great songwriters who sing, who are doing songs on it. But my point is Gail was on it, and that's Chris's mom. I'm all over the place. And I also just got a text message that I need to go down to Nickelodeon as soon as possible. Sometimes I just get called out and I'm like, oh no. And I was like, I can't leave Riverside to text them back to let them know I might be a teeny bit late because I'm just doing an interview right now.
I don't want to make you late for Nickelodeon.
No, I know, but I feel bad because I was like, oh no.
I think because we were talking about how busy you are, I think it'd be very funny to end this conversation with you having your run to Nickelodeon.
I've got to go to the Loud House and I have to play a little baby. And a little old lady, too. I play Scoots on the Loud House, too. And I play Lola on the Loud House. And I play Lana on the Loud House. And I play Cheryl, the lady who works in the office, on the Loud House. And I play Mrs. Bernardo, the acting teacher on the Loud House. And I play Coach Cat. Give me some sit-ups, you little brats.
You had to check yourself there, didn't you?
I know. I was like, wait, is that right? Yeah.
I'm always amazed because it sounds like this applies to a lot of your projects, but working on so many characters in a single thing, like how you can possibly compartmentalize that and keep track of everything is incredible.
There's just a little spot in my brain. Sometimes, like for Daphne, I have to go, if I say I'll go, Jeepers, it's a creepy mystery. And it just sort of like pops me into the character. But I have some sentences that I use to kind of pop into it. But also every time I'm doing those cartoons, man, I'm thinking, this will pay for a whole, this cartoon will pay for a whole song. So
it's beautiful.
Yeah. Art feeding art. Yeah.
It's not a crappy job that you hate going.
Oh my God. No, I love it. I honestly love it. I don't ever want anybody to think like, oh, she can't stand doing these cartoons. It's like, oh no, I have this really cool side hustle for my music. Or maybe I have a side hustle for maybe my music's the side. I don't know. The music is not paying as well as the other things. So But it's keeping me busy, and I really am blessed because there's people who are like, how'd you get your song on the radio, or how did you get those gigs? And I'm like, I don't know. I did a little open mic there, and then they invited me to do the thing, and then I did a songwriting workshop, and this person, so every time I meet people music wise, it usually will lead to something, so that I feel lucky in that way. But yeah. So I
think being an incredibly extroverted person probably helps a bit.
It's so funny. I feel like I am an extrovert, but then also I'm always hiding from people too. Because if I'm working on something, I'm not fun to talk to because I'm like, I'm thinking, well, I'm busy right now in my head, which is, I feel like that's how ADHDers experience life though. It's like, Yeah, I got a lot going on in here and you're interrupting it. Not you personally, but anybody who's trying to talk to me.
Moon was shining down as he was shining up his shoes. Never dreamed he'd get enough to have something to lose. She told the teller just to tell her where they're hiding all the loot. Nobody better scream or she'd shoot, shoot, shoot.